Welcome to the Sherry Andrea Show. Your host, Sherry Andrea, brings her listeners interesting discussions and topics related to spiritual development, metaphysics, and energy work. Often referred to as a psychic empath, she is also a healer, personal development coach, author, and specializes in teaching advanced techniques in the law of attraction. Welcome, and here is your host, Sherry Andrea.
Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me. This is Sherry Andrea, and I hope you've had a good week so far. It's almost at the end. Tomorrow's Friday, and some of you are probably very happy about that. I am as well, although I actually, it used to be that I used to look forward to the weekends. But now that I have a child who's in school, I look forward to the weekdays. It's funny how that flipped around. But, I mean, I enjoy the weekdays, too, because he has activities to do that I also enjoy, like, going to karate. And I love watching all the kids, and there's such a wide range of ages of children from, the youngest, like I guess who right now the youngest would be 5. And, to the, oldest, the teenagers. And many of them actually go to my son's school. So, I've seen them grow up since the time, Tyler started in karate when he was 2. So it's like these other children, I've known them almost Tyler's whole life. So they've seen Tyler grow up, and I've seen, them grow up and known their parents that long, too. So, I look forward to all the extracurricular activities on the weekend and baseball, even though baseball is not my favorite sport because, I don't watch it on TV because they spit a lot. I know that's funny, but that's why I kind of don't like baseball. But actually watching the kids play has been awesome. But anyway, I thank you for joining me and taking the time to listen. If you'd like to call in, the call-in number is 714-816-4750. And I would be very happy to talk to you. If you are, after the show, if you want to contact me, feel free to do it through my website, which is sherryandrea.com. And if you go on the menu, if you click on Contact Me, it'll take you to a page that has a form, and that form actually sends me an email. Technology. And I get it just like a regular email, and then I reply back to you and so if you have any questions, if there's anything that I discuss that you want to ask me a question about, or if there's something else that you're interested in asking me a question about, feel free. Today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about spirituality and ascension. There are a lot of people who are consciously working on their spirituality and their ascension, but we're all actually working on ascension. The earth has been ascending. You could say forever, but I guess it's actually more correct to say, since things are always changing, we're always in a state of change. The earth, as well as humans, have always been going through a state of change. We don't stop. So it's like that constant state of change. So with change, of course, you make adjustments to change. So it's just like when you have a change in your life. You lose your job, you have to move from where you're at. Of course, you're going to do it, but what do you have to do? You actually have to adjust. Because if you suddenly find that you have to move, you may find yourself in a new city and state where you don't know anyone, and you have to make the adjustment to that. Or maybe you find yourself having to stay with a relative for a time, and maybe you have to adjust to, that. Or maybe you find yourself without a job, or you find yourself being put in a new position at your job, or maybe you're given a promotion. And you have to adjust to your new position. And along with it, sometimes, new coworkers you have to adjust to, you have to get to know, just like it's the first day of work again. You may have a new boss. You have to adjust to the way they work, how they expect you to work. And it's all about making adjustments. And really, if you want to work on ascension, one of the best things you can do is focus on paying attention to changes as they come up and being accepting of them, not wasting a lot of time, complaining about them, dwelling on them, but get more into the habit of attempting to be in a state always of acceptance. I mean, there's a lot you may not understand, a lot of things going on and happening, not only in your life but in the world that you just don't understand. But it's okay that you don't understand them. It's how you deal with them that's most important. Because even though you don't understand something, that doesn't mean you can't deal with it like you're an expert at it. I mean, eventually we may get the understanding later of what was going on, but for now we may not understand it, but we can still practice acceptance and then practice the adjustment. What is it that you're going through right now? Are you going through something right now that may be making it hard for you? It feels like a problem. Are you going through some situation that you perceive as negative? Well, ask yourself, have I accepted it? And oftentimes we'll find that we're like, no, I'm not in acceptance of this at all. And that's not unusual. So don't beat yourself up about it because you may be sitting in that place where you're like, no, I don't accept this at all. And I don't think I could accept it because it's this, it's this thing that happened. So how can I be accepting of it? Sometimes something that we perceive as negative happens that is actually what you would call an injustice. And we feel like we don't want to be in acceptance of that, because sometimes you feel like to try to be in acceptance of it is like saying you're on board with this, injustice. But that's not what it's saying. That doesn't mean that you're approving of whatever this negative thing is. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you're approving of it. It just means that you're saying, I accept those things that are outside of my control. I can't do that. I can deal with accepting and being okay with the things that I can't change. They're outside of my control. There's nothing I can do about it. Yes, it may be something that seems very horrible, very bad. But many times when I'm talking to people about either things that are happening in their life or things that are happening in the world, what I attempt to do is I really attempt to pull back the layers. And I do that by sometimes asking them questions about it that has them seeing beneath the surface, because you have to remember that what's on the surface is the illusion. You have to peel back the layers, layer after layer after layer, to see more and more of the truth of what it really is. I see we have a caller on the line, so let's take a caller now. Hi, caller, you're on the air. How are you? Hi, you're on the air. How can I help you? Okay. So maybe they couldn't hear me, but maybe they'll call back. Okay, if you were just calling in, maybe try calling back in again, and I'll see if I can connect you this time. If we can hear you. Like I was saying, you have to peel back the layers And so I'll give you an example. Here's an example. You've heard me talk about the reason why we live lifetime after lifetime and how we chose to do that and how we chose to come here and we chose to play a certain role in every lifetime and we chose to do that to get that experience, and from experience we learn. Those experiences are lessons. Situations are actually not just bad things that are happening to us. They're lessons. They're an opportunity to learn from them. So, instead of dwelling on the illusion of it, what you want to try to do is you want to try to start peeling back the layers and asking questions of the situation, like, what does this point at about myself that maybe I need to work on? What kind of lesson do I think this is about? Do I realize that this could be a lesson for both me and the other people involved in this? And also the other thing that you have to remember is that sometimes when we are in the middle of a lesson and it involves somebody else, well, there's an interesting thing that could happen. Well, what if you end up understanding the lesson and you pass the test and you move on from that lesson and that test to the next one? But what about if the person that was kind of involved with you in that, what if they didn't? What if they didn't learn the lesson from it and pass the test? Often we'll say things like, well, I don't understand. Why did they do that? And why do they keep doing that? Maybe I should talk to them about what they're doing, and maybe if I can get them to see that what they're doing is wrong. No, there's nothing you're going to be able to say to another person, because if there is some lesson that they have to learn in this lifetime, well, you can't take that away from them. And if you try and you succeed, they will still have to learn that lesson, and the next time they get it, it'll be that much harder for them. Well, of course you don't want that to happen to them, because I'm sure you don't want to be selfish. I mean, you get to learn your lessons. They have the right to learn theirs, and I'm sure you don't want to be selfish in that way. And so we really have to stop and think, this is if we're in this, if this thing is happening to us, we're in this situation, it's a lesson probably for both of us. And if I'm fortunate enough to learn my lesson, pass the test, and move on, of course I'm very thankful. But if that other person doesn't, and they stay in that same place they're in, I need to have some compassion and some understanding. Yeah, what they do may annoy me. That's true. But can I see through all that to have compassion and understanding for the fact that I was lucky enough to get through my lesson? I was lucky and fortunate enough to pass my test. Can I see that they just haven't gotten there yet? Look at it this way. If you had a best friend and you both had to go to the DMV and try to get your driver's license, and you easily passed your driver's test, but here you come out of the building and there's your best friend sitting on the corner crying because she didn't pass hers, and maybe this was the 5th time she took it. I don't know if you can take it that many times, but maybe she's crying. What would you do? You would probably console her. You would probably even offer to help her. Well, I'll take you. You would probably say, well, I got my license now, so I'm now in a position to help you because I did it, right? Yeah, you're in a position now to help her because you did it. And what would you have? That whole scenario I just explained to you, you would have understanding. You would have compassion. You wouldn't walk out of the DMV, see her sitting there crying and go, ah, ha, ha, ha. You failed for a 5th time. No, of course you wouldn't do that. So now, can you see how in all of the situations in life where you're dealing with other people and you're going through these hard, situations, and somebody's always this way and another person's always that way, can you see that if you've understood that lesson and passed that test, can you see that they haven't yet? And can you take the car keys and dangle them and go, look, I got my test. I got my license. I can help you now. I have compassion for the fact that you failed. But you know what? I love you. I'm going to help you pass. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that gives you license and the free will to take their life in your hands. No, you can't do that. But the one thing you should do is that you should at least have that compassion and that understanding. Now, if they need you to, help coach them with teaching, they will let you know. It's not that you will go to them and insist that you will help them or do them a favor. It doesn't work that way. And that's not humility. If you find yourself commonly doing that, then you need to check where your humility is at. Because the only thing that you would need to do is show compassion and understanding inside and out. And that's a part of ascension in itself, is being able to understand all of these things and incorporate them into your day-to-day life. Acceptance, understanding, compassion, unbiased. All of these things, you have to get to the point where it's not difficult, it's not hard for you to naturally give these things to another person. And it takes work. So every time a situation comes up, don't just go into reactory mode so fast. Just stop and ask questions about it. If this is happening to me in my life, it's happening for a reason. Things don't happen for just no reason. There's always a reason. So you need to stop and say, hey, why might this be happening? Okay, I am going to try and take the caller again. Hi, you're on the air. Can you hear me?
Hi, yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How you doing?
Oh, I'm great. And what's your name?
My name is Jacqueline.
Hi, Jacqueline. And where are you from?
I'm from Los Angeles.
Oh, very cool. Very awesome. So it's about a little after 7 o'clock there.
Well, actually, I'm from Los Angeles, but I'm living in D.C. right now, Washington, D.C.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's about 10, I think, now. Yeah 10 something.
It's 10 o'clock, and I'm imagining very chilly.
Yes, it is.
Yes, I'm from upstate New York. So, yeah, I know it's been a little, it's chilly down here right now in Florida, but I know it's starting to get that time of year where you're starting to get chilly and you're starting to have to wear coats and,
yeah. And hats.
Yes. So how are you? What can I help you with?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I wanted to find out if you could tell me. I've applied for a grant, and can you tell me if you see that coming through right away, or how soon, or anything like that?
I'm being told no. Why? I'm not getting why, but I'm definitely being told no. But
not coming through.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a bummer.
I'm not really sure why. Is there something unique or unusual about this grant?
No, it's just for school actually, and it's.
Is it possible that what I'm getting is something is wrong with it? Did you is there a possibility that something is possibly there's an error in the way you filled out the form or something, that there was a mistake, something that you might need to correct?
Oh, that might be possible. Maybe I need to go check with them and make sure that everything.
Yeah, because I'm getting a no, and I see the paperwork And that's what leads me to believe is that the issue is maybe there's something wrong in the way you like filled it out. Maybe you know how sometimes you'll fill out a form and you have to submit it, but there's a mistake on it, and so you have to go through the process of correcting it and resubmitting it. What I would do is I would double check the form, everything that you had to fill out and submit. I would, if it's possible, if you have. Did you keep copies of it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. If it's possible, what I would do is I would sit down, go back over the form, everything that you submitted, and look for any possible errors, any possible mistakes that you made. If you found a mistake, then you're going to know that's the reason why. It's not possible with the mistake that I could get a yes answer to that question. That was the only thing I was shown someone shaking their head no, but they had the paper in their hand, but I got the impression that it was that something was wrong with it. So that's why I'm saying this doesn't seem like no as in like you're not going to, like no, absolutely. No, I'm getting that there's something about the form, what you filled out itself.
Right.
So you need to check and see if you can spot anything, that would be the cause. So I don't know. So I don't know if this is a situation where there was a particular form, you know what I mean? If there were different forms and you had to fill a particular one out to apply for that. So double check, make sure you use the right everything, and make sure that you filled it out right, that you didn't leave anything out, that there wasn't any mistakes made. There's something in the form. There's something on that form. So I would just get your copies out and look and see if you can find it. And then that way, if you do, then all you have to do is see how you can, like, resubmit it corrected.
Good. Yeah, because it should be, should be something that's really not a big deal to get, kind of pretty much open to, as long as you have certain, certain pass, certain criteria. It shouldn't be a big deal, but I hadn't heard from them, so maybe that's it.
Yeah, and usually, when it comes to submitting forms for certain things, making certain mistakes or doing something wrong or omitting something is a potential to hold up the process.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. So definitely. Also, did you already check to make sure they received the form? Did you verify that at all? Okay.
Right. Yes, I handed it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then if you know that they have the form in hand, that they got it, you've got to check the form, see what is going on with it. There's got to be there has to be something wrong. There's a mistake. There's something that's holding up the process, because there's got to be some reason why I'm getting a no, but yet I'm seeing a person holding this form as though to tell me there's something about the form. And that's really the only thing that is like coming to my mind. I'm usually shown things that I can relate to. And that is the only thing that's coming to me. What I mean? I'm not getting something like, oh, you're not going to get it for this reason. No, I'm not getting that feeling. I'm getting there's something about the form itself. There's something, so it's got to be something about what you filled out on the form, a mistake or something that was omitted that should have been filled out. So look and see if you can try and find it. Because if so, then all that's simple enough to solve.
Oh, okay. Can I ask another quick question?
Sure.
Okay. I'm looking for part-time work, or, trying to start a little part-time business. Do you see any either of those coming through? So.
Yes. But like, excuse me, I do, but at the same time, as you started to ask the question. I noticed that my lower back was hurting, and like lower back means like support. It means support. It means I don't know if it's going to be as financially what you want it to be, is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be some endeavor that you start doing, but that is going to be the big question, is that this endeavor that you get into, it may not be what you want it to be financially. So that means basically that, you're going to have to, make sure that you really make your choice well, and then go forward knowing the difficulties that you might have to go through. I mean, and that's not unusual, of course. I mean, when it comes to anybody starting a small business, the statistics that they say are that, what is it? If the business succeeds within the first 3 years, then it's probably going to, continue to be successful. So, there are some statistics that, we can kind of look at. But for the most part, you need to go forward really. I would use the law of attraction, to help you. I don't know if you know anything about the law of attraction.
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with it. I need to use it more, but
definitely, because if you are already going forward into something, knowing how tough it's going to be, knowing that it's going to be hard to make it to be the financial success you want it to be in the beginning, you really kind of need something to use that's going to help you with that. And the law of attraction would probably, practicing the law of attraction on a regular basis would kind of give you a leg up. So, I mean, I definitely, and I do the same thing. If I know that I'm getting ready to work on a project that's going to be tough, then I always say, right from the very beginning, I start using the law of attraction to try to not only attract opportunities, but whether it's to attract clients, if it's to, attract a certain type of client, so definitely, if you haven't been practicing and you have a book, that's about the law of attraction, definitely get it out, start browsing it, get back up to speed on it, and, be ready to, go ahead and put it into practice and use it.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I was kind of straddling the fence on the two different things, one more so with child care and the other one more so with like a small cafe type thing, and I guess I'm trying to see which one would, fit my personality best.
Exactly, and I understand that. I mean, you can use the law of attraction to also, the law of attraction plus, some quiet time spent in meditation. Just, quietly thinking about it and let the right thing come to you. Don't forget to ask the question. Don't forget to ask, show me what would be best for me to get into right now. What would be best, what would be successful, and what would make me happy. If you put the question out there and ask it, then you're giving yourself the chance to be guided, to some things that maybe, are going to be opportunities. But often we forget to ask often. So
exactly.
Don't forget, it's already, you already know it's going to be tough. So don't forget to use all the tools that you already have. Just ask for help. I mean, it's that simple.
Okay.
Just say, God, I need help with this. God, I got this going on. I'm getting ready to do this part of it, and I know it's going to be tough. I'm going to need your help. Or guide someone to me or me to someone who can help me with this part of getting the business done and ready. If you remember to go ahead and ask for help, You're kind of halfway there, but often, a lot of times, people will be going into detail with me about how things are going and, reasons why it's been tough. And, I'll simply say, well, have you asked for help? And they'll go, no, I didn't think to do that. And I'm like, well,
right.
Go ahead and ask for help. I mean,
right.
but, if you believe it's that simple, then it actually is. If you believe it's as simple as asking for help today and it'll be here tomorrow, then in fact, that is the way your life will work.
Oh, good. Yeah, I like that.
So you got to start using that. I call them tools. These are the tools that we have that we can use that we often forget that we have. We forget to use them. It's like you've got a whole toolbox full of stuff. Don't forget to use it.
Yeah, you're so right, because I definitely forgot about the law of attraction, consciously anyway, until you said it.
Right.
So,
and don't forget, you need to, even if you're not going to go all out practicing the law of attraction, at least do the little things. Make sure you sit down, spend some time to create a picture in your mind of how you visualize and how you imagine this whole business working all along the way. Get a good picture of it that's, that you could almost make real. You can say, oh, it's going to be like this, and it's going to be like that, and it's going to, lead me to this, and it's going to, the money that this brings in is going to allow me to do this and that. Oh, I'm going to be able to take 2 vacations a year because of it. I can't wait to travel. Get into it. Because I'll tell you, if you can't see yourself doing that. You know what I mean? And you won't allow yourself to think that about the possibility of doing that. The universe is watching to see what you're paying attention to see what you're thinking about.
Right.
So when the universe looks down at you and goes, oh, she's been, putting out a lot of positive energy. Let me see what she wants in return. Well, remember, the universe is looking. You need to be, focusing on the right things, thinking about things in the right way, having that picture that you've imagined of how things are going to be, that you often think about. You think about it enough to put enough focus on it on a daily basis. You think about it so that when the universe looks at you, it goes, oh, okay, I can see what she's thinking about, what she's been focusing on, so I know what to send her.
Oh, good. Yeah. That sounds great. I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yes, because, these are things that a lot of people know enough about the law of attraction to use it to benefit them, but often we forget. I do too sometimes. Sometimes I have to remind myself. Sometimes I'm like, Sherry, what have you been thinking? You could have been doing this all along. But we forget. We get busy. And we get busy with the doing, the action part, So you get the action part, especially when it comes to starting a new business. You got so much to do.
Well, I need to also use that for my attracting a very positive mate.
I knew you were going to say that. Yes, it does work for that as well. It does work for that as well. But let me tell you a story. Don't laugh, but okay. Sometimes on YouTube, I watch the pieces of the Tyler Perry plays, and in one of them, towards the end, he was going into this monologue, and he was explaining why one of the characters didn't have a man in her life, why she didn't have love in her life. And I thought it was so perfect and so spot on. And he was saying, you got into a relationship and this man came along and he hurt you, and then the next one hurt you. And then eventually you gave up. Eventually you stopped thinking that the right one was going to come along. And you got down on the possibility of finding love and finding the person that was going to be right for you and everything. But really what it was that all of those people that you had to go through, you were meant to be with them and to go through what you went through so that you would be ready for the real thing when it came along.
Oh.
You know, there were things you were supposed to learn from all of those relationships so that when the real thing was sent to you, you wouldn't waste it. When the real thing was sent to you, you would know then what to do with it. So, yes, use the law of attraction. Now, the reason why I bring up that story is because, funny, with the law of attraction, now when the law of attraction, when you start using it for something like that and it starts working, you're going to notice, okay, one is going to come into your life. But here's the question. Is that the one? Now, the mistake sometimes that we make is we know that we use the law of attraction, so we may assume that that first one that comes along is it. However, the law of attraction, it's still working. That first one, that second one, that may not be it. The law of attraction may still be working, but see, it started working, so we've started attracting people. But we haven't attracted that exact one that we've actually envisioned that is that right one. So just when you use it for that, don't automatically assume that when somebody comes your way, that is the one. But it will give you the insight that, okay, this is good. The law of attraction is starting to work because I notice I'm starting to attract people to me. However, you may not have attracted the right one yet. So don't make the mistake that because one, all of a sudden a week later, one came into your life that was the one.
Right.
You have to keep working at it because that is just telling you that's actually a little bit of synchronicity going on. Synchronicity is like where you're using the law of attraction to try to manifest a new BMW, and all of a sudden everywhere you go you're seeing BMWs. That's synchronicity. So you don't want to mistake synchronicity for the real thing. And so often the very first thing that happens in the law of attraction is that you see a little bit of synchronicity happening first. That is a sign, and that's great because that's a sign. That's telling you, keep going. It's starting to work.
Wow.
So that's the thing with the law of attraction. You really got to keep your eyes open and pay attention and, don't think it's time to stop and that, okay, it's worked and it's done. No, that should just be your sign to keep at it because that's your sign that it's working. It started to work for you. You've got to keep going, though.
Okay, well, that sounds good. I'm glad you mentioned that also because, when you're attracting or consciously striving to bring things to you and when it comes, I know I'd probably think, okay, here it is.
Right.
But that's just to weed out, I guess, the good and the bad. And like you say, that it's moving. It's starting to work. So
right, exactly. And, the other person can sense it too. You know what I mean? There's something, they may not be sure why they're feeling this attraction to you, because what's trying to happen is a connection is trying to be made. The universe is trying to help you more magnetize your perfect match. You know what I mean? Your perfect vibrational match. That person that's exactly right for you and where you're at. So, don't think that, just because you're seeing synchronicity that is it. Now, because usually there's synchronicity first and then you keep working on it. And then usually before the manifestation actually happens, you will hit some resistance. When you hit that spot of resistance, you have to, at that point, keep going because you're almost there. It's like that last final wall you have to push through. It's always there usually with the law of attraction when it comes to manifesting things. that last little bit of resistance. And that is when you really have to stay strong and tenacious and keep pushing forward. Because what happens right after that is the manifestation is getting ready to happen. But often people give up when they hit resistance. You know what I mean? That's usually what happens. That's when people usually throw in the towel, is when they meet resistance. That's when they usually go, you know what, it's not going to work. You know, they get discouraged. Right. So when you meet a little resistance, you can't do that. You have to instead of seeing it as something negative or something bad, see it as a sign you're almost home free.
Okay. So resistant in the form of like the wrong person or nobody?
Well, no, it could be resistance as in you could actually think, meet somebody, think that you've, attracted the exact right person, you talk. He seems exactly like the exact person that you've been looking for. Seems so perfect for you. And something bad happens. Maybe you go out to dinner and this is just like nightmare date where everything just goes wrong. And then you'll be thinking, well, if the universe sent that my way, why did everything kind of just crumble? That might be your resistance. And you can't get discouraged by it. But you can see how you could. Because if you're thinking, oh, wow, this is it, and then all of a sudden you guys go out to dinner and everything goes wrong, you could easily get discouraged from that and throw in the towel at that point. You can't do that. It's at that point that you have to hang in there and know that's okay. Look how close that was. If you're aiming for 100%, then you could call that 95%, and you only got 5% of the way more to go. And at that point, when people only have 5% left, is often when they throw in the towel because they get discouraged and think they were almost there. So you can't and the easiest way to do it is refuse to see anything as, don't label anything. Try not to label anything as good versus bad, and you usually won't fall into that trap. You know what I mean? Just because it appears bad, that doesn't mean it is. You know what I mean? There's a reason for everything.
Wow. Well, this sounds like a roadmap. I feel like I'm on a journey for sure now. I got landmarks to look for.
So, I mean, you can do this. You can be working on, the law of attraction when it comes to, a new opportunity, a new business endeavor, and attracting the right, even the right people in your life, period. You know what I mean? You know? So, yeah, definitely. You really need to get your law of attraction book out and dust it off. Do a little browsing. Yes, do a little browsing, because when we, bring the books out that we haven't read in a while, there's always, something in there that we read that's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that, So, so bring it out, dust it off, and start using it right away.
Okay. Yeah, well, I definitely will, and I'm so glad I talked to you. I'm so glad you gave me these pointers and all this insight, because now, I was asking one question, but now it's really answering, especially the law of attraction, it's answering a whole slew of questions. It made me think of school and, am I going to do well? Of course I'm going to do well, because I'm going to think,
right, exactly.
Use the law of attraction. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, I use that on my son. I mean, you can literally, affect even another person, how well another person does. Now, you have to be careful, though. You really need to practice the power of silence. And what that means is that it's called, I have this book. It's called Alchemy for Self-Transformation. And in it, it's called The Power of Silence, as in tell no man. Because when you're working on the law of attraction, one of the most important things you need to do is protect what you're trying to create so that nothing goes against that creation forming. You don't want any negativity to go against what you're creating. What you're creating, to create something, it takes high positive vibration. However, what if you tell somebody that, you're planning to get your nails done, get your hair done, because a man's going to be coming your way soon. They smile at you, and they say, oh, great for you. And in their mind, they're thinking negative thoughts. That goes against what you're trying to manifest. Those are the vibes they're sending out. The universe is going to pick up. If they think for a minute, she's not getting a new man, guess what? That's going out to the universe. Those thoughts have power. So now you tell me, should you have told that person? Probably not.
Right.
How do you know, though? How did you know that was going to happen? You didn't know. So that's why you have to be careful. And sometimes it's best to just practice the power, the power of silence, because we don't know who may do that.
Now, that was alchemy for what? I didn't get the full title.
It's called Alchemy for Self-Transformation.
Self-transformation. I'm going to look that up.
It's a purple book. Yeah, I think it's on Kindle because it's by Elizabeth Clare and Mark Prophet.
Okay.
And it's an excellent book from beginning to end. Because, alchemy is about change, and so what we're talking about change of ourselves, but what the book gets a lot into is creating your own reality. It's the change. If there's something in your life that you don't like now, you have the power to change it. And in that book, it explains that when you're working on manifesting, that the main reason why people don't get what they want in life is because they simply don't hold the focus on it long enough. This isn't like magic. It takes work. And that work is the amount of time that you're going to spend focused on it. And it doesn't matter if you're spending time focused on it while you're washing the dishes, driving to work. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter when and how you do it. What matters is that you do it. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't put enough focus on what they're trying to bring into their lives to make it, to create it.
Wow.
And the book is, I think it's a fairly easy read. It's actually a spiritual book. So there are a lot of references to various things that are in the Bible, examples of things that happen in the Bible with different characters from Jesus, the disciples and apostles. And so it's a really nice book to read that actually is one of those books that has you wanting to find another one like it to answer the questions that book then made you think of.
Oh,
it's one of those books that then leads you to wanting another book because it brings up so many, questions and so many realizations I want to learn more about this and about that. And it's a wonderful book. You'll really like it. And, if you want to get more into, what I was saying about the power of thought, then you'll probably want to read The Science of the Spoken Word, which talks about the power of the spoken word. Just like thoughts, words have power. So especially for anyone who really wants to make the law of attraction work for them, if you understand the basics about the spoken word, then you can incorporate it into your life to be more conscious of the things you say. It's just like when I said to my son one day, we were riding in the car, and the car I used to have, and I said to him quite casually, "Oh, don't worry, baby, we're going to have a new car soon." I said it so casual. Then the next week, I drove him to school. On my way home, I heard this loud boom, and it sounded like the whole bottom of the car fell out.
Whoa.
And that was it. The car died. I mean, I didn't know. But I said to him, I said, "Don't worry, baby. We're gonna have a new car soon." I wasn't saying that because I knew of anything that was getting ready to happen. It's just something that I casually said because I was working on trying to say the positive of everything, so that whatever was created out of what I said would be something good. And and I mean, right down to where it happened, how it happened, like how easy it was to deal with. You know, it happened right by where I could turn into a street.
Wow.
I ended up breaking down in front of a house that had a lot of land, so I wasn't blocking anything. The car was out, pretty much out of the way. It was garbage day, no less. I mean, I could have broken down in front of somebody's garbage can.
Okay.
And I was calm, like no big deal. I didn't even get upset. I called my father, and it was like no big deal, and he got on the phone, called somebody to come get it, and that was that. And the next day, I had a new car.
Wow.
So it's like words have power. So you have to start consciously saying the right thing. It's sort of like, don't take for granted the things that you casually say that seem like no big deal. That's a part of the law of attraction too. And you have to kind of, this is another tool. These are easy things to do. It's easy to just simply, choose differently what you're going to say.
Right.
Say it in a slightly different way. Instead of complaining that, the refrigerator sounds like it's acting up and may break down, instead of worrying about it and getting ready to get upset about it, instead say, you know what, that's okay, because everything's going to be fine. I'll get a new refrigerator, and it's going to be even better than this one. You may not know how that's going to happen. You may not know where the money is going to come from. But see, that's a part of the law of attraction and attracting things into your life, is that you have to be living life in a way where you may not know, but you're absolutely positive that it's going to happen.
Wow.
And then it will. And all those things and the way you think are a part of the law of attraction.
Wow. And I believe that. That's the thing. And I've, thought like that for a while and then get back into, something comes up. And I can really remember it when I was much younger, when it's like things that I needed to do, I didn't put any blocks, there.
Right.
I just knew, and I wasn't thinking about a law of attraction. I didn't know anything about it, but it's like, okay, I need to do this and I need to do this, and it's just I set out to do it, and it got done. But as I got older, the fear started, getting in the way, or, and so now it's a whole different way of thinking, and it's just like so much else is piled up or clogged up in that brain.
Well, now you've heard I don't know how much of the Bible that you know or have read, but do you remember where in the Bible it says that to go to God you have to be like the child?
Right. I've heard that. Mm-hmm.
Well, like what you just said, that is almost exactly what it means, because when you're a child, think about it. You weren't worried about how the bills were getting paid. You weren't worried about how your mother and father were putting food on the table. They could lose their job, and you could know that. But as a child, were you really frantically worried about it? No. As a child, we just assume that all is going to be taken care of. And so we have that much. So that's what it means. And literally, as an adult, you can be like that. See, because the problem is, where fear and worry come into play, is that sometimes we feel guilty. We feel like, well, if I'm out of a job and if I'm not showing enough concern, that's not right. We think it's not right for us to be looking like we're happy and on cloud nine if we're out of work. We think that we got to show that we're really concerned.
Exactly. Right.
You know, so you got to be more like the child that just goes about his business. Is like, well, I'm going to go outside and play ball. You know what I mean? The world can be crashing around you. Well, I'm going to go play. You know, you have to be more like the child and just think, you know what? Because the reality is, you know, is worry going to actually resolve any issue? Worry,
no.
And if the universe looks down at you and it's like, oh, she's been really happy lately, let me see what to send her, and you're spending your time worried about money, the universe is going to send you more of what you're focused on. And if you're focused on lack, that's what you get more of.
Right. Yes, I've definitely heard that.
Right. So if the universe looks down and sees the child's not worried about anything. The child's just like, when's Christmas coming? You know, I want this toy for Christmas. You know what I mean? That's the child's mind. Yeah. So if the universe sees you as a child, it's going to see you thinking that way, thinking about, you know, things that you'll want to attract. So, you know, when you're trying to get used to using the law of attraction, stop yourself sometimes and say, you know, what am I acting like right now? Am I acting like a child or am I acting like an adult? Because often if you're acting like an adult, then you're probably spending time worried, or really concerned about things, and that's not what you want to do.
Okay.
You know, you just want to let it happen. And just, like I said, practice on a daily basis. Designate some time, like if it's like while you're having your morning coffee or driving to work or something like that, and just take a minute to say, God, I need your help with something. And on that day, tell him what you need his help with. What is it that you need, that you're working on that day that you need him to help you with? And get into the habit of doing that, every day, once a day at least. And then see in a week how your life changes. What happens and what kind of things just, seemingly magically just fall into place.
That sounds good.
So, and then call me, do that. And then in a week, call me and tell me what happened.
Oh, okay. I definitely will.
Because interesting things always happen, when we finally do these things. So you're going to have to call me back and you're going to have to, tell me what happened. Definitely I'm going to want to hear.
Oh, good. I'm going to want to report because I know I'm going to be reporting something good. I'm really positive about this.
Yes, and I know you can do it because you seem very positive. So I know you can do this. And it's been nice talking to you.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure of mine to talk to you and for you to talk to me at length. I really, really feel that I really have something to move with now. I'm directed in the right position, and I just need to do it.
Yes. So. And just like my coaching clients, what you should do is after you get off the phone, take some notes so that you don't forget. Just jot yourself down some notes on, things that out of our discussion that you want to make sure that you remember, just some short little notes to remind yourself. And that's usually what a lot of my coaching clients do while they're on the phone talking with me, is they'll be jotting down some key things that they know that we discussed that they're going to want to put into practice right away. So do that, and then you'll be sure that, you might start with one thing, but at least by doing that, you'll be sure that you don't forget totally about those other things that you gradually want to put into, action in your life.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'm going to do that as soon as I get off the phone. Then I'm going to go to sleep and think about this.
That's good. And that's a good thing to do. If you're working on the law of attraction, right before you fall asleep, make sure you're thinking about whatever it is you're working on manifesting.
Right.
Because you will continue to work on it in your sleep.
Oh, good. Yeah. This whole conversation, everything was so positive. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time to give me all this information. I really do.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad I could help. But I want to hear back from you. I want to hear, what happened and, what type of things happened. And I'm already excited about it.
Oh, great. I am too. Okay, Sherry, well, thank you so very much. And you will hear back from me.
You're welcome. Okay,
all right.
Make sure you do.
Okay, thank you so much. You have a great night.
You too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.
And we've run over time, but I have another caller on the air. I'm not sure if I can answer. It's got like this little caution question mark next to it. I don't technically know what that means, but I guess we're going to find out. Even though we're over our time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take another caller. Hi, you're on the air. Hi, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad. I'm glad because I wasn't sure if it was a good connection or not.
Yes, I can hear you. This is Susan, and thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome, Susan. How are you?
Oh, good. Just, I don't know, can I get a general reading or do you need a question?
I do better with a question.
Okay. Well, I wanted to find out, where you see I have two daughters that are on their own now. They're adults, just kind of, wondering what you could tell me about them right now.
Well,
I have an older one that's 25 and a younger one that's 23.
Okay. Tell me, one of them I see standing still and is very calm, and then the other one is like all over the place dancing around, like having a good old time, like, like the happy ballerina. So that's showing me that one of them is like, one of them may be a little bit more responsible than the other, and one of them is the one that's just all about having fun. I would tend to be more concerned about the one that's, just having a good old time because she's just like all over the place. She's just dancing and, you know what I mean, bouncing all over the place and just in that's all there is. That's all I'm seeing is one of them just, focusing on just having fun. That's the one that I would be wondering, what she's doing. Not to say she's doing anything bad, but you know how that is when we're young.
Right.
And we're more into having a good time than into really worrying about our responsibilities until it's too late, till we're getting kicked out of our apartment. And so that's the one that I would probably be making sure to keep in touch with. Keep in touch with her even more on a regular basis than your other daughter. The one that I see that's just standing still, nothing wrong, but is, standing still, calm, peaceful. That would be the one that seems to be, most responsible. She isn't really, she's not doing anything that you would need to focus on because I'm not seeing, like, my intention's not drawn, to her. Like, literally, there's, like, it's almost like telling me there's nothing to see here, like, there's nothing to worry about here. But the one that's dancing around, and I'm not sure if that's the younger one or not that's doing that, but that's the one I would keep in touch with, you know. Because, you don't have to necessarily, you don't have to let her know that, hey, I'm keeping an eye on you, but I would keep in touch with her. Try to be the person that's in her life that's keeping her a little grounded. So anything that you can do maybe to help her stay more grounded, like, do you need help? Do you want me to help you go grocery shopping? Do you want me to help you do this or that? But kind of keep in there, stay in there.
Mhm.
You know, if what I mean is, don't let let's say you are used to maybe periodically not hearing from her for a period of time, but usually everything's okay. But don't just say, oh, she periodically does that, everything's just probably fine. No, what I'm saying is really keep in touch with her and be that person that's going to be in her life to try to keep her grounded and reminded of what she's not thinking about. You know what I mean? If she's thinking about nothing but fun, you're going to be the one in her life. They're grounded. Reminds her of how is it going with this and how's it going with that. Do you need help with this? You know, you don't have to be like pushy or anything like that. Just stay in there. You know, keep in touch.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you see any changes in my job?
Yes, as far as how long, maybe not until next spring is what I'm feeling. Yeah,
okay.
I'm getting this like I'm getting that I'm reminded of, you know, the time of year in seasonal states where they've had a long winter and they're at that spring and they're at that time where they're waiting for the winter to be over. You know, they're waiting for that last snow to melt. So I'm not sure what month is that, March, April, something around there.
Yeah. Right,
yeah,
right.
That's what I'm reminded of. So it's got to be a March, April thing. So, I mean, now even though I said that, you know, if you want an opportunity to come to you to happen sooner, you know, if you focus on it and you put, you know, positive focus on it, you can have that come to you sooner. You know, if you know that it's coming, then focus on wanting it to happen sooner for you.
All right. Okay.
You know, and actually focus on it. Can you tell me what type of new job you are looking forward to having?
That's where I'm having a little difficulty. Because I'm not sure. Because I've been at this job for so long.
Okay, and that's the question.
I've been at my current job for a long time.
Yeah, and that's the question that I'm being guided to ask you is what you want. Because I get this feeling that the reason why that is so far out, you know, we're talking April, March, the reason why it's so far out is because, you know, how can you bring anything into your life if you're not exactly sure what it is you want?
Exactly.
So you need to quickly think about it and don't be afraid to dream a little. You know what I mean? You know, don't be afraid to be like, yeah, I'd love to have this kind of job. This would be my dream job. Don't be afraid to dream a little. But here's the thing. You have to make the choice. As long as you don't make the choice, you don't move forward. You know, it's like being at a fork in the road. If you're not making a choice, you're just standing there, standing still. So that's why I was guided to ask you, well, what kind of new job do you want?
Right.
It's not going to come to you until you can answer that question for me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, how do I get to those answers? Do you know?
Well, have you?
I mean, specifically.
Have you figured out yet? Do you feel like you know, like what your purpose is? Like, do you feel like you know, like what you would be best suited for, or what would make you happiest?
Yeah, not working.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean.
No, I always wanted to be. My dream was to stay at home and raise my kids. That was my dream. You know, never really wanted a career, but somehow I got divorced, and so then we ended up being a single mom and had to work.
Well, is there something that's outside of the realm of a traditional job that you are into? Like, I can give you an example. One of the grandmothers at my son's karate has a daughter that they both live around the corner from my parents, and the daughter is into clipping coupons, using coupons, and she's one of those people that goes in and, you know, saves $100 and $200 at a time.
Extreme couponers, those like that shows they have,
Right. Well, that started out as one thing, and now her grandmother handed me this gorgeous business card, And I was like, that's awesome. She's got this business card. She's got this website. And she's gotten so into it that she teaches others how to do this. Now, I'm sure that she didn't know it was going to head in that direction.
Right.
So you need to really take some time and explore some of the things you're already into, some of the things you would like to be into that maybe you thought about but you just haven't gotten into them yet, that could turn into something else. So maybe it's possible that down the road you're going to end up turning one of these things that you're really good at into an endeavor that's financially successful even.
Right.
Now that also would explain though why it's so far out, because if you have to do this. Ask yourself if you have still very strong like emotional feelings when it comes to your desire to like be a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
Because if you do, that is what the universe is picking up. Now, you have your job now, but the universe isn't going to see anything different if, the universe is looking at you going, well, I'm getting a conflict here. So...
Yeah, and that could very well be. I can understand that.
Yeah, that would be a conflict because, here's the person that, gets up every morning, diligently goes to work, takes her job seriously, and then the universe is looking at you going, well, which is it? She either wants to work or she doesn't. I'm not sure which. So
I just feel like, I just kind of got stuck, where, my job is very secure and I'm very thankful for my job and I've been a good worker, but it's just I'm very stressed out from the job itself.
Do you keep a journal?
I don't.
What I would suggest is start a journal, because see, a lot of like the questions that I would ask you are normally things that would come out when somebody is writing in a journal about how they feel. Like when you write, you're like, oh, I so wish I didn't have to go to this job tomorrow. And then you write about your feelings about it and why, and you write about the things that are going on, and you'll let that out, and you'll end up letting it out in a way where the more you write, the more you're going to give your writing the chance to uncover something that you want to do. You're going to start.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's definitely a good idea.
The journal is where we usually wish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus it helps, I think, in everything. Like, I've had a lot of issues with, not at work or anything, but just from the stress and everything, getting angry, like, later on at someone, or, you know what I mean? Just from the stress. It builds up, and I'll snap at stupid things,
Right, exactly.
At home, so,
Yeah, you definitely, it's okay. I was on the website of this Living Master, and somebody had asked her a question of, well, do you ever have a bad day? What do you do? Because the whole point was you're a living master. So some might assume that you're a living master and you've mastered so many things like Jesus did that you don't suffer that anymore. But yes, you still do. But just don't fall into the trap of feeling guilty about it.
Exactly.
It's like one of those things. If it happens, it happens. Oh, well, tomorrow will be better.
Right. Right. Exactly.
It's
hard sometimes to keep positive, to stay on that positive track, but it does definitely make a difference if you do try to remain positive.
Right, and while you're at work, you need to be thinking that way too. You need to be, when things at work annoy you, you need to be saying to yourself, this doesn't even matter, because pretty soon I'm going to be doing something at home that I love, that makes me happy. So this is just temporary, So you need to start doing a little self-talk that's aiming you in the right direction.
Instead of focusing on the problem.
Right, exactly. Instead, use the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Use that.
Right, exactly. Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, and you'll see pretty soon, ideas will start coming to you. You know, the more you do the right self-talk, soon you'll start thinking about things, you know, well, I really like this, I really like that, I think I could do this. Keep in mind,
Exactly.
The lady who wrote Harry Potter, she was unemployed and divorced, and she had moved into this they call it a one-room flat, but I saw it. It looked like a one-bedroom apartment to me. But she had never written before. And she just said, you know, I've always wanted to do this. What do I have to lose? And that's the way she saw it. That's how she started.
Wow.
She didn't know if she could do it.
That's amazing. That is amazing. You know, I think it's where I'll have that fear of taking that step, you know?
Right.
And sometimes you just have to do it.
But what's the worst that could happen? You know, because right now,
that's what you have to look at. Right.
Right now, all you're doing is allowing yourself to come up with ideas. You know what I mean? You're at let me come up, see what ideas I come up with. Let me journal about this. Let me do a little wishing and see what comes to the surface. So you're in the safe phase. You know what I mean? Where you don't have to have any fear because you're not like, oh, I'm going to quit my job and take a chance. You know, you don't have to do that, you know?
Exactly.
Some people do. You don't have to. You can you can plan it out the way you want it and attract it the way you want it to happen.
Right. And the one thing too that's good is that I am part-time at my job. I mean, I get paid full benefits, but I'm considered part-time. I don't work 40-hour week. I work close to 40, but don't, you know, so that gives me a little extra time too. I mean, I could actually lower my hours, you know, if I needed to.
See, and that's exactly what you need to do. These are the things that you need to be, you know, thinking about. Let these thoughts play around in your mind. Spend some time thinking about the what ifs, as far as, you know, I could do this, you know, once I figure out what I want to do. So that the universe, when the universe looks at you, the universe sees a way for it to be possible what it's trying to send you. Right.
Okay, well that sounds really good, and I'll definitely have to get into the journaling too. I did used to write my thoughts down on paper, and I think it does help a little bit.
Right,
for you to really see what's going on.
Right, exactly, and you'll uncover some things, you know, that'll help. Maybe you'll uncover some things you didn't even realize that'll actually point you in a direction you didn't plan to head in. I mean, you never know. But you've got to explore yourself, you know what I mean? You know, let yourself write, you know, in the journal and do a little self-discovery. Right.
Well, I'll definitely do that. And I appreciate you again. Thank you again for taking my call. I know I was the last call after you. All right.
You're welcome, and I enjoyed talking to you. You too.
Oh, thank you. And blessings to you. Have a great evening. Thanks again.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap up now. I think that was a pretty good show. Well, I think it's pretty good whenever we go over time, because I think, you know, if you needed more time, that's always a good thing. And I have really enjoyed tonight, and it's funny because I didn't really know what I was going to talk about. And if you recall, during Tuesday's show, I actually said that. I said, I don't know what Thursday's show is going to be about. I haven't been told yet. But obviously, maybe the reason why I wasn't told is because time was needed to, you know, talk to the people that I did. And often, that is how it happens. You know, things don't happen by accident. And so that's the reason why also today, earlier, when I realized, that's odd, I still, you know, that idea has not come to me yet for what tonight's show is going to be about. But you know what? I didn't even worry about it. I didn't think twice about it. Whereas I can imagine that there's other hosts that would be frantic that they didn't have an idea of what they were going to be talking about yet. So it just goes to show you that you just have to trust that everything is heading in the direction that it's supposed to, and that everything's for the best, so that you don't accidentally end up getting into, a state of worrying about it, and that negatively influencing the outcome. And just be ready to let it be what it is, and trust that it's going to be something wonderful. Well, I've really, really enjoyed this episode and speaking with everyone, and I enjoy the time that you've given me, or I appreciate the time that you've given me. I always enjoy speaking to everyone who calls in. Now, I wanted to tell you, I'm going to have somebody really great on the show, the next show, which is Tuesday. And you're definitely going to want to listen, because it is someone who communicates with animals. And so this is something you will not want to miss. Trust me. I talked to her for a while, and let me tell you, the things that you will hear and the things that you will learn about are going to absolutely and without a doubt blow your mind. And that's something that I'm going to be working on tomorrow, is putting the information up on my blog so that you'll know who it is. You'll be able to go to our website even beforehand, check it out, and then when you do, you're going to be really excited about Tuesday's show too. I enjoyed talking to you, and I wish you a good night or a good morning wherever you happen to be, and I look forward to speaking with you on Tuesday. Bye and good night.